stunning looks than swift.
India are feeling it. Their dream for a World Cup campaign at home ending with success is gathering serious momentum and steam, and up against them now are Bangladesh, a fixture that hasn't been featured in this format on Indian soil for 25 years. So India versus Bangladesh, as the MCA Stadium in Pune makes its bow as well in the tournament, is where our attention lies on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Matchday. And as we approach match number 17, if you've been a regular follower of our show right from the start of the World Cup, you see we go bowler heavy usually. We've had Anil Kumble, we've had Shane Bond and Dale Steyn and Mitch McClanahan. But you know, across generations, they don't come to watch the bowlers bowl. They come to watch the batters bat, don't they? Matthew Hayden and Cheteshwar Pujara.
I've been saying this for years.
Yes.
What we should do is just set up bowling machines at both ends and watch the likes of Pujara just smash them out of park. For years I've been saying this, so thank goodness we've got some common sense approach in the studio today.
My goodness. Yeah, I'll tell you what, the bowlers, as I expected them, were so humble about their presence here. Now you have the swagger of the great Matthew Hayden and one of India's finest in Cheteshwar Pujara. Welcome, gentlemen. What a pairing together to put you two together.
Nice one.
Yes,
loving it.
Puji, how
engine room.
Yeah, I'll come to you in a second, Ados, but I'm going to get a word in from Puji because we may not get that later on. How have the last few months been with you? Some time in England, came back and played some domestic cricket too. Feeling good about what you've seen with this Indian team?
Yes, really. I think this is the best I've seen India play in one-day format. All the players are fit. The way they are playing, everyone is in form. So we are looking like a good unit. We haven't lost a game, so couldn't have asked anything better. I think it's a great start for us so far.
See, the we and the us is to the heart of Cheteshwar Pujara is still pretty much of that of a current player. Sometimes we say, oh, let's talk about India, let's talk up India. But in this tournament, it's a different feeling. They are living up to the hype in terms of performance, Hayden.
Yeah, most definitely. They just look really calm. I mean, they're a side that's well sorted. They haven't kind of once looked out of sorts. We've seen pretty much every side, bar Team India, that's gone, oh, there's maybe a little weakness there, or there's just a few moments, maybe a couple of overs where they've looked a little off song. India, no way. All their lineup looks good. Their strategies are in place, and it's just working. It's a well-oiled, unbroken machine.
You know, it's a nice time to have Matthew Hayden here, because if you talk about a team that's everything's just clicking, everything seems well-oiled, you just remember the Australian team, the formidable one in 2003 and 7. So I'll get into a chat in a little while from there. But what a fabulous stat that I got going into this game, that India and Bangladesh haven't played in India since 1998. You were what, 10 years old, Puji? Just holding a bat for the first time? Where were you in 1998 when India and Bangladesh last played in India?
I can't remember.
Can you imagine how cute?
I was still learning the game. So
At what age did you pick up the bat?
I was 7. That's when I started learning the game.
Yeah, already worked in his defence.
Junior Pudgy.
And of course, viewers shouldn't forget that, of course, Matthew Hayden's great days, heydays, were in the second part of his career, but you were already an international career by then. What, 5 or 6 plus years for Queensland by the time? So
yeah, I was just learning my trade. I think it's interesting looking at the age group of, you know, a side like India. They've got a lot of players that have been there, done that before. You know, I think, Pudgy, you reckon from about 27, 28, that's when you start to really establish yourself. You know your game, you're centred on your feet, you can, you know, engage with all sorts of elements of the game as well.
Yeah, I agree, because that's when you are the most experienced. You've had few years with the Indian team. Some of the younger players have been part of the IPL, so they've had some stint with some of the IPL franchises as well. So I think that's the age where you are much more balanced, you know what you are doing, and that's when you get the best out of yourself.
There's something about this feeling, that about this team, that gives you the feeling, it's not just hope that it could go all the way. They are not just favourites, but after the first 3 games, red hot favourites. Take me back to 2003, not 2007, because at that point there wasn't a game that even ran you guys close. But in 2003, a lot of you were playing your World Cup, a World Cup for the first time. It was a bit of a transition, and as the tournament went on, how did that feeling develop of, we are certainly better than everyone else here, and yes, this could be our World Cup?
Well, quickly, just before 2003, Australian cricket did a very good job of actually transitioning players out. So I took over, for example, for Mark Waugh.
Correct.
You know, so Junior could have played easily another 2 or 3 years. Easily. The Rolls Royce, you just put him out there and he putts along and does his business. But they didn't. They went, okay, Haydos, this is where you have to be. And that partnership then formed with Gilly. But if you remember now in the tournament, it was a chaos for us because the great Shane Warne had got done with diuretics. So suddenly now he's on the plane home and we're looking for options as to what's going to happen. So enter Brad Hogg. So this is what I meant about the current team as well. So, you know, if there's not Kuldeep Yadav, then you've got Ravichandran Ashwin that's maybe will sit in the dugout today, but has come pretty much out of retirement from one-day cricket back into the frame.
So there was a sense of confidence and security even in the reserve players who came in.
Yeah, and it was also who wasn't there. You know, so there was 5 or 6 players that weren't there in 2003 that could have easily been. So the depth and strength of Australian cricket at that point was like India now has. There's 3 or 4 or 5 players easily that could sit into the lineup of the Indian cricket team.
And even the guys who are not part of the playing 11, someone like Mohammad Shami, who has been bowling really well, and Ashwin, both of them could easily fit into the playing 11.
You add Suryakumar Yadav to that. And we're looking at a lot of other teams, maybe even Australia included, and you think, do they have the bench strength? Pakistan as well, do they have the bench strength? But you see the point here that this Indian team would feel like 15 of us are good enough, not just 11 or 10 of us.
Yeah, I completely agree. And when you have plenty of options, I think it's a good headache to have for the management and the captain, because if someone gets injured, if someone is out of form, you have the best replacement one could think of.
And it's a long tournament.
Yeah.
You know, so there will be hiccups. There has to be. We're touching wood, obviously, but generally speaking, there are hiccups in World Cups. Results can be going against you, and it's how you get the ship back on and navigate it to the direction that you want. That counts in a World Cup.
At what point does the team start talking to each other and saying, yeah, we're going to win this?
Ever. They never do.
Or they never do it.
They never do.
Or they never should do it, at least.
Well, I just don't think they've got the room. I mean, we've seen already in this tournament that 2 sides in particular, the heavyweights, South Africa and Australia, have blinked. And that blink has led to performances which were subpar. See, there's not an easy game. You know, if India rock up today and think that Bangladesh is going to be an easy game, that's when they're going to fall. Because, see, the scoreboard pressure is there too. It's a World Cup. You can't afford to slip up. It's got to be a constant applied effort over time that counts.
This is not an opposition that you also will take lightly. World Cup history will tell us, Puji, Bangladesh, whatever recent form, whatever we've seen of them, they're not a team India like losing to either.
Not at all. I think I've had the experience. We have been to Bangladesh recently with the test squad as well. So I think, that is one team you don't want to lose against. They are quite passionate about their cricket. They are quite aggressive as well on the field. But as a unit, you don't want to lose against them. But I'm sure the guys are very confident. They won't be complacent at all because they know each and every game is important in the World Cup. And the guys are in best of form, so they want to make the most of it. I think it's an important game for the team leading into few other games. So I'm sure that the guys want to make the most of this game rather than just be overconfident about it.
I mean, look at that record in recent times. That will put a smile on Shakib's face. 3-4. Otherwise, you can see India understandably hold the better advantage and record in this format. But they did win and register an ODI series win at home recently, Bangladesh, and they did win what was also, you could say, a dead rubber in the Asia Cup, but that adds up to the numbers nicely. They need Shakib though, don't they? This team, if they does well, it often coincides with Shakib doing well. We haven't quite seen the best of him yet.
No, he's obviously the lead, as a leader, as we see from Rohit Sharma. He is that individual that has the ability to be able to score heavily, take wickets and captain well. He's got a pretty good bowling lineup as well, so they do need him to lift.
There's a good bowling side. We'll talk about in just a second as the toss will take place very shortly at the MCA Stadium and we'll get you a reaction. But India-Bangladesh is a rivalry that has its own flavour of spice in it, and our man Yash Jha is tailing the Indian team around. Mohammad Isam, ESPN Cricket Info's Bangladesh correspondent, is here as well. So when the two of them caught up together, they did a nice little recap of the rivalry. Have a look.
December 2004 is the first time Bangladesh beat India in a men's international. Then came Port of Spain 2007, a match Indian fans don't want to talk much about. But for most of this rivalry, India-Bangladesh had been very brotherly But Isam, something gave way in the last 8 to 10 years and there was a sense of animosity in this contest. Why and when did this start happening?
So after the 2015 World Cup quarterfinal, but there was one umpiring call which became quite controversial. Rohit Sharma played a pull shot, whether it was a no ball or not. The umpire didn't give it a no ball, I think, and then Rohit Sharma survived or gave a no ball. It's so blurry right now that I can't even remember, but that prompted huge protests back home. Then India came to Bangladesh, lost an ODI series for the first time, and the Bangladeshi fans took it to another level. They had two significant visuals, I think you can call them visuals, not images or images. It was Mustafi's, an animated cartoon which showed Mustafi's cutting their hair because he had the cutter name, and then you had Taskin holding Dhoni's head in another sort of ridiculous cartoon or image. And then Bangalore happened, which I don't want to talk much about. Then the Asia Cup final was quite a close one. So these have contributed to the animosity between the two sets of fans.
Yeah, the silliness really started peaking around that 2016 time. But what's happened since is that it's actually started becoming close on paper too. You look at the last 5 years, the head-to-head in men's ODIs reached 4-3 to India. In this World Cup cycle, Bangladesh are the side who've been most successful against India. 3 wins and just the 1 loss. How has that happened?
Yeah, Bangladesh have started to believe that they can beat India recently, especially those miraculous wins of Mohidi Hassan Miraj. One of them actually won him the ESPN Cricket Info Awards for the innings of the year, best ODI innings of the year. So I think the belief is back in certain ways, like they won that consolation win against India in the Asia Cup. So I think, yeah, I mean, Bangladesh have a bit of belief that they can beat India.
It's been a week of upsets at the World Cup. Are you fancying the chances of another one in Pune?
Of course, I mean, Bangladesh can take a bit of inspiration from Netherlands and Afghanistan. Why not? I mean, you know, we are in that week, so hopefully.
All right, here we go then. We build up to the rivalry as the toss has just taken place. And the big news that comes in from Pune is that it's not Shakib Al Hasan who's accompanied Rohit Sharma at the toss. It's Najmul Hossain Shanto. Let's get a reaction from both Matthew Hayden and Cheteshwar Pujara. How big a miss is this?
Massive.
Without Shakib.
Massive. I mean, he's absolutely key to their performance. So Shanto, he'll be unproven as well. It's a big game, probably the biggest of his life, I would have thought. So, yeah, difficult.
Yeah, it's a big, I would say it's a big blow for Bangladesh because he's so experienced. He bats at number 5. He bowls 10 overs. I don't know who his replacement will be.
Do you sense, though, that Bangladesh cricket is still revolving around the two alphas in Mushfiq and Shakib? Now there's no Tamim. And perhaps sometimes it's not a bad thing to take them out of the team. You're almost always looking at Shakib to bowl 10 overs, get wickets, get 100. Can it work positively for a team when you lose?
I think not in a big game. Normally you would try these things. I mean, he's injured, but when you are going through a transition, you want to do this in a bilateral series rather than in a big World Cup game. It's unfortunate for Bangladesh because he's not part of it, part of the playing 11, but not at this time. I think it's a big blow, and I don't think it can work in favor of them. But if someone replaces him and pulls up a good performance, it'll be very good for Bangladesh. But I think it won't be that easy.
No.
Quad injuries ever, either of you?
Yes.
How bad can they be?
Mine was horrific. It's a big quad. So when it tears, I tell you, it's game over. I tell you, I never got a soft tissue injury through my career, ever. Right. So I was playing a charity game for post-traumatic stress disorder at the Oval, and I was actually doing triathlon at the time. And because we're all old fellas, I was basically the only one fit enough to run the outfield. So I'm running around collecting the ball, and suddenly I'm on the ground. And I was like, what happened? I had no idea of what happened. So I looked down at my quad, and half of it's around my belly. It literally tore in half. So hopefully for Shakib, it's not that bad.
It's a massive miss for Bangladesh to lose their talisman in a game like this, but an opportunity for Najmul Hossain Shanto, and we'll just confirm the teams in a little while from now. Let's just confirm the news at the toss. Shanto's won it, so he's done that bit right. He's kept the trend going. Shakib was doing well with his tosses. Bangladesh will bat first. Now, what can we expect from the MCA Stadium? We think it's a run fest, Puji, but are we expecting this to be a high-scoring game? And thoughts on batting first?
I think it will be a high-scoring game. I don't think there'll be enough spin on it. Looking at the stats, this is probably the toughest ground for any spinner to bowl on. So I'm sure that we might be going with the same team. I don't think Ashwin would have played in this game. But yeah, looking at, they do have 3 left-hand batters in their top order. But I still feel, looking at this pitch, Shardul will continue playing and it'll be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, I mean, we're entering the 17th game now of the tournament. That'll only be the 5th occasion of a team or a captain winning the toss and batting first, Haydos. I don't know if we can actually come up with trends or patterns that we're seeing, because it's been hit and miss. Teams are out batting teams are also finding chasing easy. But
India are finding chasing easy.
India are only chasing, it seems.
And again.
Yep.
And I think this suits them down to the ground at the moment, because they want to try and come out with killer blows here for Bangladesh. They want to try and make sure that they finish them off early with the ball, and then they can unleash that top order batting lineup that they have. They'll want to, I think, a little bit more also from their middle order at some stage. They're not getting necessarily the chance to bat a lot because they're doing so well up top, but that'd be a nice little rounder if they could somehow get some runs on the board, that middle order.
All right, now we talk about Bangladesh and we talk about the batters because of Shakib and Mushfiq and maybe even Shanto a lot, but it's a pretty good bowling lineup that they have. But there are some changes made. Not only will they not have Shakib Al Hasan today, they're not going to have Taskin Ahmed either. So Hassan Mahmood is going to get his first game. We saw a bit of him in the Asia Cup and he can actually crank it up. But Shariful's been impressive. Mustafizur is the second left-arm option they have. Nasum Ahmed is in too. So lots of changes being made here by Bangladesh. On the left-hand side, that's perhaps how the batting will shape up. Maybe Mehdi Miraz will bat higher and Shanto will bat 3. But no Taskin Ahmed. So Puji, just looking at that team, they've got a left-arm spinner for a left-arm spinner in Shakib's case for Nasum Ahmed, and they've got in Hassan Mahmood for Tashkin and batting first. Yeah, thoughts on that team?
I think the key for their bowling lineup is Shariful and Mustafizur, because India has lately struggled against left-arm seamers. The management has been working really hard to rectify that, and the guys have been working a lot against left-arm seamers. So again, it'll be interesting to see how they open their bowling lineup. But I would love to see 2 left-arm seamers bowling against Indian top order. And the things which the top order has been working on, it has been paying off really well so far, and I hope that continues.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly improved in this tournament. We've seen them take down Shaheen and Stark, but was this ever a conversation that you were either part of or seen, that the management presented numbers and analysis that left-arm seam is a problem? Did the batters accept that, or the batters said no?
No, they did accept it. There was a stat given to them. We brought in the left arm, sidearm guy as well. So it's not just the left arm bowlers. We have also had some of the practice sessions where there were so many left arm seamers called in for net sessions as well. So there have been a lot of work going on in that area, and I can see the result over there.
Yeah. It's hard though, right? Because you bring in net bowlers that are left arm, you bring in side arms, but they're not Shah Afridi.
And Mitchell Stark and Trent Bolt.
And Trent Bolt, you know, the 3 premium left armers. So actually you've got to do it in the middle. And that's exactly what happened the other day. I mean, that was a superb way to come out and smash Shaheen Shah Afridi, who's not quite at his best, but Rohit Sharma looked really comfortable, and that's a great sign.
Yeah, and he was quite positive as well. I think rather than just going defensive, he knew that he can take the bowlers on, and the way he approached that innings was really good.
All right, now is the Tashkent absence, I'm guessing it could well be a selection call and not just an injury concern. We'll wait to find out more, but we thought this man's going to lead Bangladesh's seam attack. We know the ability that Tashkent Ahmed has, Haydos, but for a bowler of his ability to average over 40 in what is now 9 World Cup games, do you sense they've made a selection call here? We saw a bit of Hassan Mahmood. He looked impressive in the Asia Cup, but have they made a call here?
Yeah, I sense that it may be an injury. I just can't see how he can be left out of a side. He's a quality over-the-top type bowler that's an into-the-wicket type bowler as well that be required on this wicket.
Yeah, I've faced him, and I completely agree that I don't think he should be missing out in the playing 11. I would think that he's injured.
Yeah, he's got something different about him as well, Tashkent. You could almost, when he's on song, he's a hard bowler to face, a really difficult bowler.
Yeah, he is. He has the best length in the ODI cricket because he has that hard length which you want in one-day format, and he has the wicket-taking ability which any bowler would want. And I don't think they're leaving him out. And if they have left him out, I think it's a tough call on him.
You know, it's really interesting, like watching that game up in Dharamshala the other night where South Africa obviously lost. But I think they lost it with the ball because, correct me if I'm wrong, Puji, it just feels like at the moment bowlers, their muscle memory is in that hard length. If there's something in the wicket, there doesn't feel like they can just go that yard fuller. You know, and that's where I think someone like Tuscan, if he gets it right, he would be very hard to face. Now, this is going to be a batting paradise today, so he probably needs to be back in that, you know, 7 or 8 metre zone.
Yeah, I'm guessing also overseas teams would come and talk about the Indian hard length, as that's what's successful. But you also need to adjust that, and Bumrah and Siraj have perhaps shown when that needs adjusting. Would you?
Yeah, I think so, and they are so accurate with their length. Sometimes when we speak about hard length, you end up being a little shorter, and most of your balls are not hitting the stumps. Whereas if you look at Bumrah and Siraj, most of their back of length balls are still hitting the stumps, and we have seen the results. We have got LBW bowled in play. So that's where I felt like Siraj and Bumrah, they get their lengths really, really well.
Yeah,
I've sat in team meetings my whole life, and generally what happens is they go top of off stump.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, has to be there according to the wicket.
But you don't necessarily see every bowler get this right. Even talented bowlers. You worked with the Pakistan team, and we thought their pace attack is going to be a serious threat. It's been a bit blunt in the games we've seen so far. So it's not like it's the skill that is missing, but somehow the execution.
Look, it's got to be difficult for bowlers because, like I said, it's even though we sit there and go, oh, top of off stump, you still got to make the adjustment accordingly. Different clays, some red, some more black, some more red. You know, so there's always that skill set to be able to deliver on the day, subject to the conditions, and that only comes from when that ball first gets released. And that's where Pujie and I go to school on their game as well, because what we're after is for them to be searching for that as well. So the longer they take to do that, we're in the game.
Yeah, I can see now, after all these years, you finally said, look, it's difficult for the bowlers.
Yeah, no,
finally
that's the last time ever.
Man who has tormented them, both these two, in different formats. But yeah, that's a challenge now, and perhaps it will be something for the Bangladesh side to watch when Bumrah and Siraj take the ball in the first innings. It's an unchanged team, as Cheteshwar Pujara was expecting, and we were expecting, given what we know of the MCA Stadium in Pune. So R. Ashwin remains on the sidelines, and Shardul Thakur, who's still not had much to do, Pujie, in this tournament. I guess he hasn't needed to do too much, but this remains, I guess, India's good batting wicket team with Shardul ahead of Ashwin. Yeah,
I think so, because if you look at the stats, there's not much for the third spinner. I mean, Ashwin is a great bowler. He could fit in the ODI side at any time, but yeah, the way Jadeja and Kuldeep, both of them are bowling, I don't think we need a third spinner on a flat track. So I think this is the best combination we can have.
The question is, do you need a bona fide third seamer? Like a Shami.
So that's where I was coming to next. I guess the sentiment for a lot of Indian fans is, Shardul doesn't really give you the batting. Maybe he's given you batting in tests and the odd T20s. So now that the batters are in form, why not play your best seam option on a flat surface? Why not?
I wouldn't mind that change if they want that. If you want to be, as a team, if you want to be really aggressive, you know, try and bowl an opposition out, then I would prefer 3 seamers, and then you have Hardik Pandya as your 4th seamer as well. But it also depends on the pitch. So if you're not confident about your batting lineup, if you're not sure whether you need another batter at number 8, then it depends on what the thought process of the management is.
See, I love being not conservative whatsoever. So a friend of this show, Sean Tate, he was unbelievable in the World Cup campaigns because he just blew sides away. He blew the minnows away. And it's about these tournaments, because they're so long, having a reservoir of energy.
But that's no way to speak about South Africa.
So
from what I remember of that World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, right. You know, so what I really want today is, and what I would like to see India, when they come across an opportunity to really go for the jugular, not have a player like Shardul. He's a fantastic player, but he's not Mohammad Shami. He can't just go, cool, Arupse, just coast along, and no, win the match and win it ruthlessly.
But you then have 8, 9, 10, 11 as effectively batting jacks.
That's okay. I mean, how many more batters do you need to stack?
Batting depth has proven to be an asset in big scores, big chases. Does it also give the top order or the middle order more security? I mean, we have seen India.
I think it does, but there's something which I would want to see in this game is someone like Hardik Pandya and Jadeja have bit more time with the bat, because our top order has been batting really well. But if we have a bad game, if we lose 3 or 4 wickets early on, that's when I think Hardik and Jadeja can be quite useful. And they haven't had a lot of match time. So I feel that...
Surely you're not worried about that, about batting. The batting...
There's no other reason, Hidos, because I'm thinking everyone would agree Shami is the better bowler.
Yeah,
but
I think
India
it's more
want number 8 to be able to bat. So it's either Shardul or Ashwin, therefore, and Shami doesn't come in. Now I'm trying to think of whether this is a smarter and more assured strategy with role clarity, or is it defensive?
I think it's a hedge your bet strategy. That's what I'm saying. I don't think there's a need. I think India have plenty of batting, and they've got great bowling options as well.
But I think the management's concern is someone who can bat at number 8, because if we, like we have seen in some of the big games where we have lost few wickets and then we have struggled to recover from that, and that's the reason I think Shardul is batting at number 8.
And again, like Matthew Hayden says, this is nothing against Shardul Thakur, who is serving his role as asked. But I would be very curious to know if, and I'm not hoping for it surely, but if Shardul is not available or injured, what is you don't really have that next bowler who can bat anyway. So push comes to shove, you've got to play that team.
Yeah, correct.
What they do at that point, we'll see. But it may not even come to that. Right now, Shardul doesn't need to bowl. Shardul doesn't need to bat. He's having a nice time of it.
Chilling.
And India are winning by 100 plus. Is it a good thing to win this easy, though? I mean, would you like a close game?
I would prefer to see a close game, because as you move into the World Cup, there'll be a bit more pressure. When we speak about the big games like semi-finals and finals, if you had some close games in the league phase, it always helps dealing with the pressure. So that is something I always feel that this team needs to learn a bit more, because dealing with the pressure, playing under pressure in big games, that is where we have struggled a bit in the past. So as we move forward, I think I would love to see a close game.
I mean, I don't think we got too many in 07, but in 2003 there were a couple. Did that
I don't want to see a close game. Well, if I'm just putting myself... When I say we, I'm putting myself in India's camp, and I'm thinking about this campaign come the final in Ahmedabad, and I want to see all of our resources. You've already got everything sorted in terms of your options. You hear Rohit Sharma at the post-press match conferences talking about how him personally is going great. He's had all the preparation. He's had the pressure. He's had 4 years of it. And now it's time to win the World Cup again at home. And how you do that is going in hard and taking oppositions out and being ruthless about it, because all that means is you've got more energy at the end of the tournament.
He's been in a bit of a hurry these days, isn't he, Rohit Sharma? Yeah. But since we're talking about speed, let's talk about the speed of Jasprit Bumrah. Don't get me started on the other thing. So Bumrah at this World Cup, what a point of difference single-handedly he has made. Player of the match in the last game against Pakistan, and perhaps what could prove to be the ball of the tournament, the one that he bowled to Mohammad Rizwan. And as we were just already starting the chat, it's amazing how good he's been after such a lengthy layoff. We barely saw much of him in the Asia Cup, Hidos, you were there too. But what a point of difference he is.
He's smashing the wicket. He's a phenomenal bowler because he just finds a way to compete, and he works out things extremely quickly. He was talking over in Chennai how he saw Jadeja get a little bit of turn. So he immediately went, right, well, my cutters are going to work on this track. You know, so his adjustments are so quick, which tells me that his experience is now in line with his overall strategy.
And I think even his thought process, that is something I haven't seen many fast bowlers do, because even if he gets hit for 1 or 2 fours, the next ball he's not going defensive, he's always thinking to take a wicket. And that's where I think he's a bit different from the other seamers, where whenever he's running in, I've had a chat with him, no matter what format he's bowling in, but he's always looking to pick a wicket. And that's the kind of mindset you always want as a seamer. So he knows his options really well. He has a unique action, so there are times where batters are struggling to pick his balls. But yeah, I think the thing which sets him apart is his thought process. He has a big heart. He doesn't mind getting hit, but the next ball, you know that he wants to pick a wicket.
When you say thought process, I'm actually very curious to know, since you spent so much time with so many of India's seamers who've been very talented, Shami and Siraj, and you played with Ishant in the past. In terms of cricket smartness, is Bumrah up there?
I think he's right at the top. I haven't seen anyone else think a lot about the game. He's so clever. He reads the batsman really well. He knows what a batter is trying to do, and he has his options very clear in his head. When he's there running in, he knows what he wants to bowl. He's never confused. I've seen many seamers, especially in the white ball, when they're running in, they're not sure. When they get hit, especially when they get hit for 4 or 6, when they're running in, they're not sure what ball to bowl next. But Bumrah, he's really sure in his head what ball he wants to bowl.
I heard Ravi Shastri the other day when I was commentating with him talking about the role of questions, asking questions. And Bumrah was that fellow that he said he just asked so many questions of himself and how it is that he learns, but he actually asks the right questions as well. There's no point in asking a question that, one, you know the answer to, or it's the wrong question, because you don't learn anything from it. So his learning and his cricket smartness has come because he's wanted to shift and improve every day. And that's a great mind. When we talk about mindset in cricket, the ability for a player to be able to improve consistently every day means that you've got to be prepared to do some deep dive on yourself and have some analysis which allows you to improve.
Yeah, you just look at his record in World Cup cricket as well, and this is something that Bumrah would hold in pretty high regard. Of course, his career began after India's semi-final exit in 2015, so this is only his second ODI Men's World Cup, but it's getting up there, 26 wickets and counting at an average of 17.8. But just to stick on the point of bowlers, fast bowlers who are pretty much on autopilot, because you've seen a lot of fast bowlers where the captain has to constantly have a word with them or the senior bowler has to.
But I think it's the rapport which Rohit and Bumrah shares, and that comes from the franchisee cricket. Mumbai, both of them have been playing for Mumbai Indians. Bumrah has been put under pressure so many times, and whenever there's a crunch situation, Rohit always goes to Bumrah. So both of them, they know what they're trying to do, how they want to take a wicket, how they want to control the game. So I think that rapport works really well.
And also in franchise cricket, Bumrah doesn't start up. He gets left, for the death. So at the moment he's taking wickets up front. He's actually getting the ball to swing away from the right-hander and the left-hander. He can do both.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's trusting him now inside that power play is such a key strength, and his figures are changing accordingly as well. He knows that he's got him at the back to bowl death. I don't think there's a better bowler of death bowling than Jasprit Bumrah.
Yeah, I completely agree. But I also think that what you're saying, that we need someone in the power play to pick wickets, and Bumrah is doing that for us.
Yeah, I think it's just been, he's ticked every phase.
Yeah.
Even if he goes for a few boundaries like he did against Pakistan, he came back in the middle.
Yeah.
And you knew what was going to happen there. Rohit got him on at a time where the game was
And remember,
vulnerable.
we talk about batting partnerships. Mohammad Siraj
Yeah,
has been
phenomenal. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so he's now, even in that game, it would have been tough to decide who the man of the match was, because every bowler against Pakistan got 2 wickets, apart from...
So who had the vote in that game for the man of player of the match? Some 11 commentators there that day. I'm sure one of them.
Well, we were very undecided. It was one of those ones. I think the only thing was just his economy rate was so good. But Siraj actually did the damage up top.
Yeah.
And if you look at his bowling, I think the way he started, he didn't find the rhythm, but Rohit kept backing him, and he, eventually, it paid off. He picked 2 crucial wickets in the game.
Puji talks about Bumrah as the top of the list when it comes to cricket smarts as a fast bowler. Could you pick one from the many fine ones that the Australian team was blessed with back in the day?
Well, there's one particular bowler. His name's Alan McGrath. I was at the airport the other day, and this pundit came up and said, "Hello, Mr. Alan McGrath." No, but on a serious note, for me, Glenn McGrath, just in case you were wondering what his actual name was.
And why do you say that?
Because he remembered every wicket that he took for a start. If you were to say to Glenn McGrath, of the wickets that he took, I want your 200th wicket, he'd tell you straight up. So to me, that just suggests that that's one, intelligent.
That's insane, firstly. To remember, because he got quite a few. If you had just 3 or 4 wickets, it's fine. But
he just worked players over.
Yeah.
And the simple thing is that he also never really changed his game. He would just bowl one line, one length, like Ambrose
And did he do a lot of video analysis, or was it more about the strategy?
Yeah, I don't know. He wasn't a big trainer, actually,
Yeah.
McGrath. And obviously he still did his homework. But one of these key weapons, I think, was just his expectation to take the big names out. Like, he wouldn't be targeting a minnow in the team. He'd go straight to the top of the table. He'd go to a Brian Lara or Sachin Tendulkar and take them out and work out how he was working them over.
Yeah, I always used to get scared when I was young, when I used to watch him bowl, and when he used to bowl against India, whenever he ran in, I always felt like he would pick a wicket. So he was, yeah, he was probably one of my favorite bowlers.
Pretty good, Alan. He was very good.
Yes, if you're watching Alan, then we send you all our love right on the show. But fascinating conversation, and we will see Bumrah in action very shortly. Let's just give you some numbers to just keep an eye on what to look forward to in this first innings. And MCA Stadium in Pune, it's a lovely ground. It's going to be featuring in this World Cup for the first time. Let's just break down pace and spin for you to see if spinners enjoy more of a bigger share of the pie than in perhaps some of the other venues. Well, the average is 32 to pacers, 57 to spin. It just goes into India's team selection as well. So 64% of the overs bowled by pace by and large. And that is the second worst average, I'm told, for spinners in venues across India. Though, if we talk about Kuldeep Yadav, Puji, and I'll get up his numbers next, is he bowling as well as you've seen him, and you've seen him for a long time?
Yeah, I think so. I think he has improved his pace. That is something which he has been working on. He always has this wrong one, which not many batters are able to pick. But he's more confident now. He has a bit more control as well. And yeah, he always had the wicket-taking ability. So whenever he comes into bowl, even in the ODI format, I think his job is to pick wickets. Initially, he was a bit afraid when he got hit, but now he's a bit more confident. Even if he gets hit for 4 or 6, the next ball, when he's running, when he's running into bowl, you look like he's a bit more calmer now. He's expecting the batters to go after him at some point, but he's not afraid of it.
And if you look at just the numbers against left and right hand, and this is a team with a number of left-hand options, even without Shakib today in it. I think this was one of the reasons India wanted Kuldeep Yadav and not someone like Chahal, who's a good wrist spinner, ability to not be taken out of the game by the type of batter.
Yeah, well, every chance I get, I always have a chat to Kuldeep. He's a great young fella.
He also loves having a chat, doesn't he?
And he does love having a chat, correct. But one of the things that he was mentioning the other day to me was that his focus around energy through the crease. So I suppose what that does then is that creates that kind of flatness that is creating, but also then that awareness around how it is that he's going to adjust accordingly. See, his biggest threat is when he bowls up and over, and players left and right, doesn't really matter, will try and slog sweep him. But at the moment, it's hard to do that because he's never outside the tram tracks. He is inside the stump line, and he's obviously got the variation through his wrong one as well, which is coming out nicely. So to me, that energy is giving him that confidence, and that energy is now relaying into fantastic stump-to-stump bowling.
But do you think because of that energy, his trajectory is a bit flatter now?
It's definitely flatter. Because what his weakness was coming up and over, and we're just thinking cow corner all day, every day. No more. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really toss it up anymore.
Well,
as
you can
often
do it.
as you used to.
You can do it, but then you get out to him. It's just LBs. And
slightly bigger grounds would help as well if you want to toss.
Well, Pune's not the one.
Just fly around. But let's focus on some Bangladesh batters. Remember, this isn't just one team in it, even though recent form would have us believe that there's very little reason for India to slip up in this game. But in Najmul Hussain Shanto, they do have a formidable batter at the top of the order. They have Liton Das, and these are two batters that have actually done well. They've carried they've done the heavy lifting for Bangladesh in the absence at times of Tamim, then of Shakib. No Shakib today. Quiet World Cup so far, Puji, from Liton Das and Shanto, but we have seen capable batters on their day, especially Liton Das. Can take a game away, can't he?
I think both of them play a key role. If they get runs together, I think that is something which they haven't done it. I think one of the games, Liton Das got 50 and Shanto got 50 in the other game. But if both of them come together, I think that will be the key for Bangladesh.
Yeah, I mean, what they need is just everyone to come together. They don't quite haven't had that kind of day. So you bring up Mushfiqur Rahim, who becomes the most experienced player now by some distance in the absence of Shakib, who doesn't enjoy a great record against India. He's had his moments against India in the T20 World Cup, in the 50-over World Cup back in 2007, but an average of 47 this year, batting at about 5 or 6. Just wonder what sort of role he plays today in Shakib's absence.
Yeah, look, he is a fine player for a start. So to me, he doesn't need to do anything. You look at those numbers there in 2023. That's top of the tree.
India have kept him quiet though.
India have kept him
which
quiet.
Which is a hard thing to do for Mushfiq.
Yeah, but, you know, that's... Look, we always love to bring up these stats as if they're the gospel according to us. But the reality, he can have a good day out. And he needs to today.
Yeah.
And that's a couple of times we've seen it already. You know, he need to rely on India just not quite turning up. And
taking it easy maybe.
Yeah, just going a little quiet, not doing the things that they require, you know, in terms of their ability to be able to really consolidate as a team collectively. The energy in the field that they bring has been the significant highlight to an Australia, a South Africa who hadn't turned up as well. So India will know that now and go, guys, we can't afford to relax.
All right, well, the game is already underway. Let's hope that it becomes a packed house sooner or later, the MCA Stadium, but it is higher altitude. We don't see the sunshine that we associate this time of day in this time of year. But Bumrah has got 2 slips bowling to Tanzir Hassan, who also needs a bit of a score. So let's get a score from Cheteshwar Pujara and Matthew Hayden. Bangladesh batting first, usually a good batting surface, but India are a top team in form, and I don't know if the first 2 balls give you an indication of what is to come. Edos, give me a first innings prediction.
I'm going to go 260.
260?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to see him, you know, now that we've got the game on. Looks like a perfect day, as you can...
I think they will be looking somewhere close to 300, but with India's bowling lineup, I would say it'll be nice if we could restrict them below 275.
275 to 60. Oh, you guys are not thinking like me at all. I'm going to go like 180 or something and get...
Are you going to go 180?
Get the 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock shuttle home.
Last orders.
Now that's... Remember, the average score at the MCA Stadium is 320. So, you know, don't listen to me. You're here to listen to Matthew Hayden and Cheteshwar Pujara. What a cracking start for both of them. The batters think we'll get a score here. So let's pick up the chat, gentlemen, at the end of the Bangladesh innings. We look forward to your company then. On Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Matchday. Download the mobile app. If you haven't already, plenty being written and said. Gee, we got a cracker tomorrow in Australia and Pakistan too. So the World Cup is really heating up. But the tournament favourites and the hosts are in action today. So see you at the end of the Bangladesh innings.
Stunning looks, then swift,